Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the Sikh channel, live from the Central Gurdwara Khalsa Jatha, London, the oldest Sikh institution in the United Kingdom and the West. And with me today I have Jaspal Singh, Satnam Singh, Jaswinder Singh, and Sardar Rajinder Singh. And today on our program, The Last Word, we want to discuss Bhai Balwant Singh Rajoana. There's been a lot of talk, there's been a lot of programming about him. Today at the Nagar Kirtan, you would have seen a lot of support for getting Bhai Balwant Singh Rajoana freed. And you would have seen a lot of people out today at the Nagar Kirtan. So you would have seen definitely the t-shirts. We've all got the banners. They were all out today. And everyone is putting up the chanda on their houses to let everyone know we are supporting the freedom for Bhai Balwant Singh Ji Rajoana. But amongst all of this fervour that's going on, there's a lot of politics going on in the background. And it's that which we want to have a look at, to find out what is happening, what's going to happen in the next few days, what are the opinions of the Congress party, what's happening with the Akali Dal, what is the game that's being played here? Because this seems to be a very interesting thing happening, and it's all being played out in front of the press and the media this time. So I'd like to welcome Jaspal Singh. Jaspal Singh, the one thing which I think a lot of us have forgotten about is the actual history of this. Balwant Singh, the chief minister, he was a Congress chief minister, and his election wasn't a normal one. It was a very controversial one, because at that time the election in Punjab was boycotted and he got elected with just 9% of the vote. So he had a 9% mandate. That meant 91% of the electorate in Punjab had not voted for this man, yet he became the chief minister. I want to try and find out more about what was Punjab like at the time, what was happening. So, Jaspal, if you could maybe inform the Sangat as to what was happening at the time.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Very interesting point you have raised, Gurpreet. And I always think about that. In the last few days, I've been thinking a bit more about it. I looked into that, and if you go back in 1995, Amnesty International came out with a report. I think that was in the month of June, if I'm not wrong. And in that report, it was clearly mentioned about the problems in the human rights violations that were happening in Punjab. And particularly, it's mentioned about the police actions on Sikhs, on normal Sangat of Punjab, normal people of Punjab, who were killed, without any reason, I would say, because there was never a case filed against them. And you would always see that police have taken them away, and then you never see them again. A lot of violations were happening, and Amnesty to bring out with a report like that means something. They must have investigated. They normally don't come out with a report without investigating properly.
Interestingly, Amnesty International were banned in Punjab then. As far as I know, I'm not sure whether they're allowed into Punjab even today. But that was a time when the Punjab had serious restrictions going on. There were some very bad laws in place, Tada, for example. And this was being used to clear villages of their youth. Satnam Singh, you were living in Punjab at the time of Balwant Singh. Can you tell us, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਕੁਝ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਉੱਥੇ, ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ, ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਯੂਥ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਹੋਇਆ?
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਵੀਰ ਜੀ ਰਾਈਟ, ਮੈਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਠੀਕ ਸੀਗਾ, ਪਰ ਮੇਰੀ ਏਜ ਤਾਂ ਇੰਨੀ ਕੋਈ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ। ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੱਕੇਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀ, ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅੰਕਲ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਯੰਗਸਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ, ਕਿ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਖਰਾਬ ਸੀ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਧੱਕੇਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਕੀਤੀ, ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ, ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਧੱਕੇਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਕੀਤੀ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਭਾਵ ਤੇ ਖਾੜਕੂਵਾਦ ਸੀਗਾ। ਚਲੋ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਨਜ਼ਰ 'ਚ ਖਾੜਕੂਵਾਦ ਸੀਗਾ, ਅਤੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੀ ਨਜ਼ਰ 'ਚ ਕੁਛ ਹੋਰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸੀ। ਅਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਧੱਕੇਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਖਾੜਕੂਵਾਦ ਨੂੰ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਵਰਤੋ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਯੰਗਸਟਰ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਪੀਲਾ ਪਰਨਾ ਬੰਨ ਕੇ ਖੱਟਾ ਪਰਨਾ ਬੰਨ ਕੇ ਘੁੰਮਦਾ ਦਿਸਿਆ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਨਜ਼ਰ 'ਚੋਂ ਖਾੜਕੂ ਸੀਗਾ, ਚੁੱਕ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਗਏ, ਜਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਟਾਰ ਵਧਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਜਾਓ ਚੁੱਕ ਕੇ, ਤੇ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ ਉਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਲਣਾ। ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਥਾਣੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਗਏ ਆ, ਕਿਹੜੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਖੜਿਆ ਹੈ, ਕਿਹੜੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਏਰੀਏ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, ਲੱਭਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਕੋਈ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਗਏ ਆ। ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਘਰ ਆਉਣਾ ਵਾਪਸ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਣਾ, ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਓ। ਹਾਂਜੀ।
This was a time, Sangat ji, that when you were living in Punjab, if you left home, you didn't know whether you were going to even come back home. It was a time when tens of thousands of Sikhs went missing and were never found again, killed off in false encounters and just never seen again. Mass graves of Sikhs were just made and people went missing. The Jewish community quite often talks about a lost generation, and we have a lost generation here in Punjab where the youth from the pins were just wiped out. And that is a backdrop of Bhai Balwant Singh ji was actually in the police at the time, so he must have been seeing all of this happening. Jaspal Singh?
Yeah, I think that's it's a very good opportunity now, Gurpreet. Let's analyze that. What made these youngsters, people like Balwant Singh Rajoana ji, to act the way they did? They were very law-abiding citizens, like you just mentioned. He was in the police force, and and they came from a very good family, good background, in a very good job, and they were not with a criminal background, which normally, the police force in India, when they catch somebody, they try to show that they are from a terrorist background, but they were not. And what made them do it, and not just Mr. Bhai Rajoana ji, even so many other youngsters at that time who were told to be they are militants, but in reality they weren't. They were victims of the atrocities of the police or the government, I would say. Whether they did it purposely or whether they did it in false pretense or whether they did it because they also didn't know what was happening, because the whole situation was not in their control, or they didn't have any idea what was happening at the time, and they just assumed that we need to crush the whole thing, and the only way to crush is kill them, just wipe the whole thing out, so that there aren't any, India being a democracy, they should have arrested them, there should have been cases put against them, presented to the courts, and they should have proofs for them, like happening in normal democracies. So I think we need to analyze this now, and instead of looking at that, we are trying to get Bhai Rajoana ji freed from the prison now. He's served 17 years, and so have so many other people who we don't know the name of, and we only came to know about his name because of action he's taken, which is a very brave thing to do. It's not a small thing to say that, okay, I'm ready to go to gallows and, I've done what I've done. For him to say that, we need to find out why he said that and why he did that. And I think we should now work out, that what made them do such violent acts. I shouldn't say a violent act, but a desperate act. If you put in the contest with what happened with the youngsters in our country, in UK, just recently when they went out on roids. I mean, not all of them were criminals, not all of them went out to kill or to loot, but it was a frustration of our youngsters that made them do it. Okay, it was triggered by an incident that was done by the police in Brixton, but so many people joining that is, in my opinion, is sheer frustration on the authorities, that authorities aren't looking after them, they're not providing them what they need. And they're not providing them the opportunities. So same thing if you go back in India, the same thing happening in Punjab. If you look from pre-84 and after 84, that what the government has done in Punjab for youth in Punjab, this high unemployment there, although we are all farmers, but there aren't any big factories being set up in Punjab. The infrastructure wasn't there at the time. The whole thing was in a turmoil. And that made the youth go towards these actions, what they did. I think, we need to look more into that and then analyze the characters of our youth, our lost youth, basically.
So presently we have the situation where the death sentence was passed after the Punjab elections. Yeah. To me, that looks like there's definitely some political manipulations going on here. that an issue needed to be created. The death sentence was passed in Union territory, not Punjab. So I don't know whether Congress had a hand in it. The judiciary is supposedly supposed to be independent, but history tells us otherwise. And we have Badal on the other side, the Akali Dal, who the Bhai Balwant Singh Ji is in jail in Punjab, which is under Badal's administration. And so, Congress were hoping to secure a good election victory in the Punjab. However, what their hopes were dashed, and Badal has returned, but albeit with a much reduced majority. So I feel there's definitely some politics going on here, that the passing of the death sentence was political. But, how far are these politicians going to go with this, what I feel is a game for them, to disparage one against the other? Satnam Singh ji, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੀ ਖਿਆਲ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ?
ਗੁਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ, ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਬਾਦਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਹੈਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਅਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਕੁਝ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗ ਰਿਹਾ। ਕਿ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਕਹੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਟੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਕੁਛ ਹੋਇਆ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁਛ ਹੋਣ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ। ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੋਣ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ, ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਛ ਕਿਹਾ ਨਹੀਂ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਟੇਟ 'ਚ ਇਹ ਕੁਛ ਹੋਇਆ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ, ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਆ। ਇਹ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ। ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਾਣਨ। ਪਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੰਨਾ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ 17 ਸਾਲ ਜੇਲ੍ਹ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਕੱਟ ਲਈ ਆ, ਤੇ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਪਰਸਨ ਹੀ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਗੁੱਡ ਪਰਸਨ। ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਅੰਕਲ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਜਸਪਾਲ ਅੰਕਲ ਨੇ, ਕਿ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਪੁਸ਼ ਕੀਤਾ। ਇੰਨਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਦੇ ਹੋਣ ਕਰਕੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਜੇਲ੍ਹ ਸੁਪਰਡੈਂਟ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ। ਈਵਨ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਯੂਟਿਊਬ 'ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਓਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਵਕੀਲ ਆ, ਉਹਨੇ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਦੀ ਸਿਫਤ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਸਕਿਆ। ਉਹਨੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਸਿਫਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇਸ ਬੰਦੇ ਦੀ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੋਰਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਬੰਦੇ ਦੇ ਚਿਹਰੇ 'ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਨੂਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ। ਇਹਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕਵਿਤਾ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਡਿੰਗ, ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਲਿਖੇ ਆ, ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਵੀ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੈ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਸਪਾਇਰ ਹੈ ਤੋਂ, ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਪੁਸ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਕਦਮ ਚੁੱਕਣ ਲਈ ਮਜਬੂਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੁਛ ਵੀ, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਦਿਲਾਵਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਭਾਈ ਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ, ਜੋ ਵੀ ਹੈ, ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਐਂਡ ਦੇ ਹੈਡ ਪੁਸ਼ ਟੂ ਦ ਐਂਡ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਕਿ ਮਜਬੂਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ। ਕਿ ਇੰਨਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕੋਈ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਦੇਖੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ।
Yeah, Gurpreet, you raised a very interesting point about when you said that how did the sentencing came just after the elections, and I feel that as our Panth now, what this sentencing has done, as at least the good point about, I would say, sorry to use the word, I would use the word good because it has put the Panth together now, and our Panth after Bindranwala ji, I think is the first time that the Panth has collected together the way they have now, and they've shown unity and the cause of unity is Bhai Balwant Singh Rajoana. And I think now we need to handle this very carefully. Like you said, there could be political forces behind it, and they can jeopardize our unity completely. And we could fall for that plan if there is a plan behind it. And at the moment, I think we need to sort of work very carefully. Like, for example, at the moment, everybody is eyeing up for Akal Takht Jathedar at the moment, that they should produce results. And I think this, in my opinion, is undue pressure being put on Jathedar ji. We mustn't forget that Jathedar ji is a religious leader, and this is a political problem. And we cannot mix two together.
So, is this once again becoming actually an attack on the Akal Takht? Last time there was a physical attack where the tanks came into Harmandir Sahib and, they blasted the Akal Takht. But is this time, is it an attack on our ideology of the Akal Takht, and this is a supreme seat of temporal power, and to actually, to physically destroy the seat of temporal power, but also to ideologically destroy that seat, because we are now attacking the institution of the Jathedars.
Very, very, very good point. You reminded us of 84 attack on Akal Takht Sahib by the military. And now what is happening is, if the things don't go the way our Panth wants, Sangat wants, you will have Sangat attacking Akal Takht Sahib. And they are in a way, aren't they? They are attacking the Jathedar Sahib, that you are not doing this, you need to do this, you need to do that. So the demands, the expectations from Jathedar Sahib is so high, and Waheguru Kare, I hope he can deliver. But because he's not a political guy, he is only our religious leader, and is in the Indian constitution, Jathedar Sahib has no right, or he has no power there. And this is a constitutional matter. This is a matter of law, where Jathedar Sahib cannot interfere in the law. But yes, he's got a Sangat, he's got a Panth, thinking that he can do miracles there. I hope he can. I honestly wish he can. He can exactly do what our Panth wants. But what you just said, that is there attack on our Akal Takht Sahib again? Yes, that could be the plan.
Jaswinder Singh, one of the things that quite often people don't realize is when you hold an office, or you're doing some type of seva where you're in an office, be it in a Gurdwara committee, or be it in public life as a politician, as a councillor, as an MP, or even Jathedar of the Akal Takht, you are bound by so many rules and you have to work in a certain way. Do you feel that the Sangat needs to be more aware of how, people in office need to have to work? For example, we're bound by so many charity laws in the Gurdwara, which we have to work, and the Sangat have the freedom that they don't have to work under that. What's your thoughts on that?
You're absolutely right, Gurpreet, that the constraints a committee member has to work, Sangat sometimes don't realize that. And you mentioned charity law is so appropriate about that we are answerable to a charity commission, which Sangat isn't. And they expect us to overlook certain things when they demand the way the things should be done in the Gurdwara. And you're right, absolutely right. I think this needs to be told to the Sangat, that everybody has some restraints on them. And what Akal Takht Sahib Jathedar did this time is very rightly, he has asked Badalji to go to the president and take the case to the president on his behalf, or on the behalf of Panth. And which is so right, because he's our Jathedarji, all the Panch Takht Jathedars. So we should not even expect them to go and ask for help from the president. He is there to order, and if you go back in the time of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the Jathedarji at that time, I think it was Jathedarji Phula Singh at that time, if I'm right, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but he used to order Maharaja Ranjit Singh, and then he used to go out and deliver the political side of our Panth. So same thing is happening here. He has asked Badalji, who's Chief Minister of Punjab, things are happening in Punjab, and he hope that Badalji can do what the Panth expects, or what hukum he's got from the Jathedarji. And remember, Gurpreet, I just now mentioned constitution, and it's a question, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a legal person. As far as I'm concerned, I know, and I think most of Sikhs sitting in India know, that we are not recognized in the constitution as Sikhs. We are recognized as Hindus. We come under Hindu Act. We are not separate group within our Indian constitution as a religion or as an ethnic group. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, Jaspal ji, you are right. We're under the Indian constitution, and one thing I'd like to point out to the Sangat ji out there is that no Sikh has ever signed that constitution. It was not accepted by the Qawm. This constitution took steps backwards in terms of the Sikh community. Before independence, we had the Anand Marriage Act. After independence, the marriages in Gurdwaras are taking place under the Hindu Marriage Act. I got married in India, and I didn't want my marriage certificate to say Hindu Marriage Act, so I went through having to actually have a court marriage done, and actually found myself in a court of law being married by a judge, and there were people in chains and shackles outside. But this is one of the big problems. I think definitely the Indian constitution needs to be reformed. Is India says it's a secular country. Why does its constitution need to then define what our religion is? Why does it need to do that? If it's secular, be secular and leave our religion to itself, and stop trying to define as Hinduism, it's defining Buddhists as Hindus, Jains as Hindus, and Sikhs as Hindus. And I think one of the things that needs to maybe come out of this entire case is that Sikhs in India need to start standing up for their rights and looking at the constitution. If we are united as a Panth, we need to say, well, hang on, this constitution was not signed by us, and we need to get the constitution changed so that it is acceptable to Sikhs who are living in India. That is definitely an issue for Sikhs there. But the other thing we got to remember, well, I'm going back to the issue of the Jathedar. One of the things actually maybe the Sangat in the UK don't realize is when you are in India, you are under the constant threat of death. If they don't get you, they'll get your family. They will come for your wife. They'll come for your children. I've been to India. I've had a machine gun pointed in my face. I've not had that happen here. We're seeing a lot of people very angry about what's happening in India, but the reality is, if the Jathedar does something against the political establishment and really goes too far, then his family are under threat. So if he is to go far, what does he need? He needs the Sangat behind him. And I think this case is doing that. If we unite behind our institution, make the Jathedar strong. If the Jathedar is weak, that's because we are weak. If we are strong, our Jathedar will be strong. And it's up to us as a Sangat to actually do that. Satnam Singh ji, Punjab ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ constitution ਦਾ problem ਹੈਗਾ, Indian constitution, ਉੱਥੇ ਬੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਹੁਣ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਹੈਗੇ. ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਫੈਲੀ ਹੋਈ? How many Sikhs are actually thinking that they are Hindus now?
ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਸਰਟੀਫਿਕੇਟ ਦੀ ਮੈਰਿਜ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਇਹ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸਿੱਖਸ ਆ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੇਪਰ ਵਰਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਕੁਛ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ. ਕਿ ਨੋਰਮਲੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੇਪਰ ਵਰਕ ਕੌਣ ਹੁਣ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਉਣ ਦੇ ਚੱਕਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੋਕੀ ਪੇਪਰ ਮੈਰਿਜ ਕਰਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਇਹ ਕੁਛ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ. ਕੌਣ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕੋਰਟ ਮੈਰਿਜ ਕੌਣ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ? ਕਿਹਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕਿ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਐਕਟ ਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ? ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ, ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਸਰਟੀਫਿਕੇਟਸ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਦੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਯਾਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਐਕਟ ਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਆਹ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂ ਸ਼ਾਦੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ. ਉੱਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ. ਉੱਥੇ ਇੰਨੀ ਦੂਰ ਤੱਕ ਲੋਕੀ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ. ਬਾਕੀ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ, ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਹਾਂ, ਇਹ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ RSS ਵਾਲੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਮਿਕਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ. ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ YouTube ਤੇ ਫੋਟੋਆਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਬਿਠਾਇਆ, ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਵਿਚਕਾਰ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਮਿਕਸ ਕਰਕੇ. ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕ੍ਰਿਟਿਸਾਈਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਪਰ ਜਾਣ ਬੁੱਝ ਕੇ ਮਿਕਸਅਪ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਜਾਣ ਬੁੱਝ ਕੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ. ਤੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਭਾਈ ਅਮਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਆਏ ਸੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਭਾਂਡਾ ਭਰਿਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਦਿਓਗੇ ਘਰੋਂ ਤੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਭੇਜੋਗੇ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦਾ. ਤੇ ਜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਹੀ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਵੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਸਮਝਾਊਗਾ ਨਾ, ਉਹਨੇ ਉਹੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਘਰੇ ਆਉਣਾ. ਹੁਣ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਦੇਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ. ਲੋਕਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਛ ਪੜ੍ਹਾ ਸਕਣ, ਸਿੱਖੀਜ਼ਮ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸਣ. ਕਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ, ਕਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਪਤਾ? ਉਹ ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਲੋਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ. ਆਪਣੇ ਇਸ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਦੋ ਵਾਰੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ, ਇੱਥੇ ਇੱਕ ਮੁਸਲਿਮ ਭਰਾ ਆਉਂਦਾ, ਉਹ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਛਕਣਿਆ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਆ ਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਦਾ ਨੁਕਤਾਚੀਨੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ. ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਥੇ ਭਰਾਵਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੈਗੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰਕ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ. ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਤਿਹਾਸਕ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਦੱਸਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ. ਹੁਣ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਵਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਅਗਲੇ, ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਜ਼ੋਰੀ ਆ, ਸਾਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਜ਼ੋਰੀ ਆ. ਹੁਣ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ, ਜਾਂ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਆਹ ਸੀ, ਸਾਡੀ ਬੈਕਗਰਾਊਂਡ ਆਹ ਵਾ, ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਦਾ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਇਹੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਲੋਕੀ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਨਵੀਆਂ ਬੁੱਕਸ 'ਚ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਵੀ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਸਿੱਖਣਾ ਉਹੀ ਆ ਕੇ ਦੱਸਣਾ. ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ? ਕਦੇ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ?
This is a very important thing, Satnam Singh. The history is very important. I had a lesson of this myself when my son came to ask me, who is Bhai Balwant Singh Rajoana? What's going on? He didn't know. And the reason he doesn't know is because I've not explained to him. And there's no one else going to come to tell him. You know, if there's so many putte-siddhe things on Google, you can find, one thing going one way, the other thing going the other way. We have a responsibility to teach our children about our history. And our history didn't end when Guru Gobind Singh Ji. It went on. We need to teach our children about the various movements and the various things that the Sikh Panth has done there and beyond. And to teach them about the things which are happening today, the politics today. Why should a Sikh face hatred and problems in India? It's not right. And our children are amazed as to why it's happening, but they need to understand what is happening, what is the history, and we have a responsibility to teach our children about our history. If we don't teach it, then we're not going to be happy about what someone else does go and teach them.
What I think is, Gurpreet, that Bhai Balwant Singh Rajoana case has opened a can of worms, in my opinion. And I think we need to handle this very, very carefully now. Like the history background you're saying, and Sikhs not being, I think the Indian Sikhs don't even know that they are being treated as Hindus in India. Being Sikhs, they're still treated as Hindus there, because they don't have any right as Sikhs there. Although they have their own religion, they have their gurdwaras. And I think what we need to now is, as a Panth, we need to unite together, and we need to open a dialogue with the government. And this dialogue should consist of that we would need our rights from you. We are law-abiding citizens of India. We are taxpayers. We are contributing towards your, the GDP. And Punjab was, well, once it was one of the richest states, and now I think it's about 10th or 12th, maybe lower down in the count of richness in India. And we need to ask them these questions. It's our right, as we in UK go to our MPs and go to our central government, and we ask them questions. I think that's what they need to start asking questions from them. And these questions need to be asked, politically properly. We don't need to do big demonstrations for that, but we need to demonstrate at the right place, with the right way. And we need to bring out this in the whole of India, within the Sikhs, that you need to go to your own local MPs, your local chief ministers, and ask them that you need your right back. You contributed towards the independence of India. Everybody knows. I think the Sikhs were the majority who lost their lives. Sikhs' lives were lost, if you count the numbers, for the fight for independence. And beyond independence, it was Sikhs who saved India from the atrocities from the Mughals that came in from up north, from Persia. So I think we go back nearly 500 years since Guru Nanak Dev Ji.
We actually see the valor of Sikhs in the battles against the wars against Pakistan, the war in East Pakistan, Bangladesh, and also as recently as Kargil. The Sikhs' valor is without a doubt. But why are Sikhs facing problems? One thing, just passing, you're saying is definitely we need to campaign. It is that spirit that Congress was looking to break, because it was the Sikhs who stood up to Indira Gandhi's state of emergency. When she knew she was going to lose the election, she called a state of emergency and remained in power. These are, again, the things which many of our youth are unaware of. What led to this entire situation? Are we seeing a situation of Pindranwale, Sant Janeil Singh Pindranwale ji repeating itself because the government looked to manipulate Sant Janeil Singh Pindranwale to destabilize Punjab politics? Are we seeing the same here with Bhai Balwant Singh Rajoana ji, that Congress has obviously, has a hand in his death sentence? It's presented Badal with a problem because Bhai Balwant Singh Ji is in a Punjab jail. So it's Badal's problem. Therefore, is it something which is going to be used to divide the Sikhs, to start attacking their institutions, to start attacking each other over how this situation should be dealt with, and become a big manipulation? So as far as Congress is concerned, you know, they're not in favor of Bhai Balwant Singh ji. You know, he shot dead their minister. Their chief minister got shot dead by him. But I believe he's also a problem for the Badal administration. The Badal administration is sitting silent, but do we have our next chief minister here? Do we have an opposition to the Akali Dal Badal regime here, sitting in jail? You know, once he's released, he is a next political leader of Sikhs and therefore a threat to Badal?
Yeah, I think, there is a leader here, definitely, because the Panth has accepted him as a leader now. They are actually saying that he should be the next Jathedar of Akal Takht Sahib. But in my opinion, I think he should be a political leader who can go out and change things. Who can go out, who can join the Panth together, not just Panth in Punjab, but the whole Panth here in UK, abroad, Canada, everywhere, and everywhere in India as well. And that's what you need. You need to start a dialogue. And you've got a right person who should lead the Panth to start a dialogue with the governments and ask them the questions that we are asking with each other now, that why are you doing these things to us? And they have to then answer that back. I mean, at the moment, the Congress party is the party that can revoke the sentence because they are in power. Whether Badal government in Punjab can do it, I don't know whether they can revoke it completely. But yes, they can not let him being hanged in Punjab. They've got that right, I think, that they won't let that happen in Punjab if they want that. But the center is now in Congress hands. So we as a Panth now, we really need to be very firmly knit together. We should not blame our Akal Takht Sahib or Akal Takht that you are weak, that you cannot come out with answers for us. In other words, we should support Akal Takht Sahib and go to Badal and then support Badal to go to center. That we need our answers and we need him released, and we need the answers that why aren't we got a Sikh status in India. And now I think this is the time to get that all together and ask questions from them and unite the whole community together throughout India and throughout the world.
Satnam Singh, मैं एक बड़ा difficult question पूछने लगा. I think this question hasn't really been looked at. We've all been discussing this case, but the background in India is people get killed. Forget making it to the hangman's noose. People get killed there. Congress, Bhai Balwant Singh nu jeen degi? Akali Dal, are they going to let him live? Tanu ki lagda?
ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੁਣ ਲੱਛਣ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਨਾਲ ਆ, ਸਾਰੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਮ ਹੁਣ ਇੱਕ ਮੁੱਠ ਹੋਈ ਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਕਾਂਗਰਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਕਰੂਗੀ ਜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਜੇ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਮਿਲੂਗੀ, ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਡੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਪਛਤਾਉਣਾ ਹੀ ਪਵੇ ਕਾਂਗਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਂ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ. ਮੈਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਕਮੈਂਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਹੋਊਗਾ, ਅਤੇ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਕੋਈ, ਕਿ ਲੋਕੀ ਕੁੱਟਮਾਰ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦੇਣ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਹਿੰਦੂਆਂ ਦੇ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਤੋੜ ਫੋੜ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦੇਣ. ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕੁਛ ਹੋਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. ਸਹੀ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਰਨ, ਬਰੀ ਕਰ ਦੇਣ. ਅਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਣਗੇ. ਜਸਪਾਲ ਅੰਕਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਲੋਕੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਆਉਣ, ਸੰਗਤ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਆਉਣ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ, ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਬਲਵੰਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਰਾਜੋਆਣਾ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਜਾਂ ਉਹ ਕਿਸੇ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਕੋਈ ਸਟੈਪ ਲੈਣਗੇ. ਹਾਂ, ਜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਸ਼ਨ ਮਿਲੂਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਅਕਾਲ ਤਖਤ ਦੇ ਜਥੇਦਾਰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਬਣਨਗੇ, ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਟੁੱਟ ਚੁੱਕਾ ਆ. ਹਾਲਾਂਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ, ਮੈਂ ਨਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ, ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਣਾ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਟ ਤੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੋਈ ਅਪੀਲ ਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੱਢ ਦਿਓ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਵਾਰਡ ਦੇ ਦਾਂਗੇ, ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕਰ ਦਾਂਗੇ, ਉੱਦਾਂ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਸੈਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਲੋਕੀ, ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਵੀ ਅਪਸੈਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਉਹ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਤੋਂ ਦੂਰ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ. ਦੈਟਸ ਵਾਈ ਦੇ ਸੈਡ ਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੋ ਮੇਰੀ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਹੈ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ ਬਸ. ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਗੁਨਾਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਜੋ ਕੀਤਾ ਮੈਂ ਠੀਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਬੂਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਕੀਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਹੈ. ਅਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਣਗੇ.
What my answer to this is, Gurpreet, when he said that he thinks that Rajoana Sabji will not come in politics. But the reason I said was that if you go back now to Anna Hazare ji in India. He's trying to create a revolution in India by trying to get politicians past that law in India about anti-corruption law. But if you look into it today, that it's all frustration happening with him. The politicians are delaying it. They're delaying it every time it goes into the parliament, and it has not gone anywhere. If you need to change things, you need to be in there. It's very, and Rajanama ji has got a support of people now. And that support of people at large is going to give him that power, which would take him into the right place where the things can be changed, where the laws are made and where the laws can be changed. And that's why that's the reason I said that in my opinion, fine, if he becomes Jathedar of any Takht, or so be it, Asiyananus apna sir nivanne. What he has done, he has made us proud today again. He has made a Sikh proud. And but the reason I'm saying that he, in my opinion, if he goes into politics, and that's where you change things, and that's where we need the change happening to us.
The one thing that concerns me in India is you get a lot of nakli politics. In Ireland, when the IRA were doing hunger strikes in the prisons, Bobby Sands had a hunger strike and he never ate again. He died from his hunger strike. In India, a hunger strike is like some short space, we'll not eat for 2 days, we'll sit in some square in Delhi, and that seems to be fake. But Bhai Balwant Singh ji, his action was not fake. It was real. It was, this is a problem, I'm going to deal with it. It's not going to be, I'm not going to do a 48-hour hunger strike and hopefully everything will sort itself out. It was a real action, and hence why the Panth has united behind Bhai Balwant Singh ji, and also the Sikh principle of that we are against the death penalty. Indeed, India has taken a step backwards because under Maharaja Ranjit Singh there was no death penalty. So it's very strange. The land of the saints and the sadhus is killing people, passing so many death sentences. Where's the spirituality in that? Spirituality teaches us we should be able to reform a person, or, that, life is sacred. So, the land of where so many people are vegetarian because they don't want to harm life, yet we have hanging taking place. So, and death penalties being passed. It's just a very interesting thing to see that, how fake things can be in Indian politics and how real things can be. And when things are so real, they need to be tucked away. But my fear is, again, for Bhai Balwant Singh ji, that if he doesn't make it to the gallows and he is let free, is he going to become a victim of some extrajudicial killing, which is common in Punjab? We've spoken about it here, that if you are a threat to the government or a threat to any politician, they have you knocked off. So when we're writing to our MPs, when we're writing to our MEPs, when we're writing to the politicians, we should also be putting something there that the Indian government has a responsibility for the safety of Bhai Balwant Singh ji Rajoana. And we feel he is at threat of an extrajudicial killing, which is the way of things happen in India, because it seems to be that the politicians don't want him because he's a threat to their corrupt regimes. What is your thought about that? Should we also be taking that on with the MPs, that putting this on record, that we feel there is this threat to Bhai Balwant Singh ji? If it's not the if it's not the noose, it could be someone's bullet. And, is something going to be happening like with the killer of JFK, Lee Harvey Oswald? He was shot dead by Jack Ruby.
जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाओ सिर तर तली गली मोरियाओ इतमारग पैर तरीजे सिर दीजे कान न दीजे. Balwant Singh Rajoana ji is there now. He has given his life to Panth. To him it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the truth will always come to the surface, and the sort of courage he has shown, he's got Guru Nanak ji's blessings behind him. So I don't think that anything can happen if he is a determined guy. And the threat you are saying that can happen, Yes, that can. It is one of the possibilities that if he's not, if the capital punishment is not given to him, that there could be a threat to his life. But that is to anybody's in India. We are not blaming the governments. That governments make that do, and the governments will do it. Any government. We are not saying that directly. We're saying that things do happen. People disappear, like in the cases of Sikhs, they have been disappeared. Because there is no investigations after that, we don't really know who's done it. The things become logged in the books and then they are forgotten. And in our Sikhs case, unfortunately, they don't even are logged as that there's so many, how many Sikhs died, because they are classified as Hindus in the statistics. So if there is anything happening, I'm sure the statistics figures would not show Sikh being killed. Because we are not classified as Sikhs in India, we are classified as Hindus under their category. So it could be in the government departments is all under Hindus being killed. So many Hindus got hanged. So many Hindus got killed in Punjab. Are they showing Sikhs there? I don't know. That answer I would like to know about this thing. But now these answers you can get if you are in forefront of the politics of India. And when I said that people like Rajoana ji, who is a brave, who's guy who abides by the truth of Guruji, and he's got a very height of spirituality in him. If these sort of people go into the cabinets, into the parliaments, we don't know how many people would join him. It only takes one person to create a revolution. That's all it takes. And he's done it, shown it in our community. We were sleeping at the moment, but only one person has created a whole revolution within our panth. So if brave people like him, true people like him, go into the right places like Parliament, can create a revolution there even. We don't know how many MPs there want things to change, but don't have the guts to do it. And all they need is just one person. That one person comes up, stands up to his rights, or stands up to the rights of Indians to who they are representing in Parliament. He can have so many MPs join him. We don't know that until somebody tries it. But he has proved that he has tried outside the Parliament, and he has proved that it can be done.
ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਲੱਗ ਰਿਹਾ, ਖਾਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੈ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਗਏ?
ਫਿਲਹਾਲ ਤੇ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੀ ਦੁਖੀ ਆ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ। ਇਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੀ ਦੁਖੀ ਆ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ, ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਕੁ ਹਿੰਦੂਆਂ ਨੂੰ, ਕਿੰਨੇ ਕੁ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਾਂਸੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਚੜੇ ਗਏ, ਆਪਣੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੀ ਚੜੇ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ। ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਖੁਸ਼ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਇਹੀ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ ਤੁਸੀਂ, ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੀ ਆ, ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੀ ਦੁਖੀ ਆ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਡਾ ਹੱਕ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਜ਼ਾਦ ਹਾਂ, ਅਤੇ ਕੀ ਕੁਛ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆ। ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਛ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਅੱਗ ਤਾਂ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੀ, ਇੱਕ ਚੰਗਿਆੜੀ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ। ਇੱਕ ਚੰਗਿਆੜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਸੀ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅੰਦਰ ਬੈਠੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਲਾਤੀ, ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਮ ਜਗਾਤੀ ਆ। ਅਤੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਹੁਣ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੌਰਮੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਡਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ। ਹੋਣਾ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਾ, ਉਹ ਬੰਦਾ ਦਿਲ ਦਾ ਸਾਫ਼ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਸਹੀ ਵਿਊ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ। ਵਾਇਲੈਂਸ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਹੱਕ 'ਚ ਹੈਗਾ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਉਹ ਸਹੀ ਬੰਦਾ, ਸਪਿਰਿਚੁਅਲਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਪੂਰਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਰੱਬ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਸਾਹ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ, ਇੱਕ ਸਾਹਸ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰੱਬ ਦੇ ਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਦਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ। ਉਹ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ, ਉਹਨੇ ਜੇ ਬੇਅੰਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ ਕਤਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂ ਕਰਵਾਇਆ ਵਾ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਮਜਬੂਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ, ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਰੂਹ ਨੇ ਮਜਬੂਰ, ਇਹਨੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਰਦਾਸ਼ਤ ਹੋਇਆ, ਤਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਸ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਆ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ 90% ਹਿੰਦੂ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਨਾ ਸਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ, ਉਹ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ, ਇਹ ਬਸ ਆਪਣੇ ਨੰਬਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਨੂੰ ਪਏ ਆ ਕਿ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਂ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ, ਮੈਂ ਨਿਊਜ਼ 'ਚ ਆ ਜਾ। ਉਹ ਵੀ ਬੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ, ਜਿਹਨੇ ਉਹ ਰਾਜੀਵ ਟੰਡਨ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਵਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਵੱਲ ਦੇਖੇ, ਬੰਦੇ ਦੀ ਵੱਲ ਚੰਗੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਿਆ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ 'ਚ ਹਿੰਮਤ ਪਊਗੀ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਫਾਂਸੀ ਦਿੰਦਾ। ਉਹ ਬੱਬਰ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਹੈ ਅੰਦਰ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਖੁੱਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਦਿਓ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹੋ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਫੜ ਕੇ ਫਾਂਸੀ ਦੇ ਦੇ, ਉਹਦੀ ਹਿੰਮਤ ਪਊਗੀ। ਅੱਖਾਂ 'ਚ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਖੜ ਜਾਵੇ ਉਹਦੀ, ਜੇ ਹਿੰਮਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਉਹਦੀ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਉੱਥੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਬੰਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਪਿੰਜਰੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦਾ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ, ਕੁੱਤੀਆਂ ਬਿੱਲੀਆਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਬਾਂਦਰ ਵੀ ਢੇਮਾ ਮਾਰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ, ਅਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਨੂੰ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹਾ ਛੱਡ ਦਿਓ ਨਾ, ਅਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਹਿੰਮਤ, ਜੁਰਤ ਵਾਲੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੜਦਾ। ਸ਼ੇਰ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਫੜ ਸਕਦਾ ਜਾ ਕੇ, ਕੋਈ ਕੁੱਤੀ ਬਿੱਲੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀ। ਜੇ ਉਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਵਾ, ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਗਟਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਜਾਵੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਜੇ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਵੀ ਪਰਖਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਉਹ ਕੋਈ RSS ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਜੇ ਉਹ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਕੁਛ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਦਿਓ ਜੇਲ੍ਹ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੋ ਫੜ ਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਾਂ ਚੜਾ ਦੇ ਫਾਂਸੀ ਤੇ, ਚੜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਆ, ਫਿਰ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ। ਉਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਜੈਲਸ ਜਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ, ਜੇ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਪਰਸਨ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਚੰਗਾ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਆ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਜਾਂ ਖਾਲਿਸਤਾਨ ਮੰਗ ਰਿਹਾ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਲੀਡਰ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ, ਇੱਕ ਚੰਗਾ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿਊਜ਼ ਚੰਗੇ ਆ। ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਭਾਈ ਬਲਵੰਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਰਾਜੋਆਣਾ ਦੀ ਸਪੋਰਟ 90% ਲੋਕੀ ਤਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਈਵਨ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਆ। ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰਿਜ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ, ਉਹ ਉੱਥੇ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਰਮਚਾਰੀ ਆ ਸਾਰੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣ ਦੇਣੀ ਇਸ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ। ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ?
Just want to make a comment that we as Sikhs feel we have very few rights, in India. We have greater rights in the UK than we do in India. We basically feel that justice is always one-sided whenever it's dealt with in India. Indian government continues to basically take actions against Sikhs and to assimilate and weaken Sikh resolves generally. Anything that we try and do, they just destroy us basically.
I think I would take this opportunity, sitting here on Sikh channel, and really thanking Sikh channel that they're taking this issue so seriously, and the whole word is going throughout the Europe and hopefully through internet in India. I would ask, the Indian government should now really think very seriously that at the end of the day they are all your own citizens.
Yes,
they are your own kids, your own bache. They're born, they're Indians, they're own citizens. And how can they be so, two-sided with them? Don't they have heart in them? Don't they have any feelings in them? And what good is this doing to India as whole? Now we as Sikhs, we are going throughout the world now demonstrating against the sentence. But isn't it giving bad image to India? India today wants to join and wants to become a part of a permanent seat in United Nations in the Security Council. But they should look into their background and say that, do they really deserve that themselves? Forget what others think about that. Their human rights violations in India, not just with Sikhs, like we just said, are other groups also happy? They are not. If the other groups were happy in India, then there was no need for Anna Hazare to stand up. Anna Hazare standing up, and the whole of India, not just India, the Indians living abroad, anywhere in the world supported him, shows clearly that things are not right in India. So they now need to really sit down. They are an emerging economy of tomorrow. They are competing a big economy like China hand to hand. They've got 8 to 9% growth a year, which is unthinkable. And we here are going at minus growth, really. We got 0.2%, which is really and truly minus growth here. And they need to really think back and think seriously that Sikhs were assets to them. Or rather, their population is an asset to them. They need to handle them properly and productively. And what they're doing in return, they're creating a turmoil in India. Is it that Indians doing to India, or is it that outside forces that are working within India to do this turmoil in India at the moment, and they're using Sikhs? So, but really and truly coming back to Balwant Singh Rajoana ji, he has raised so many questions. That's why we are talking about these things now. And these questions need to be answered. And a few days ago, Jathedar ji asked us to send us our views. And I don't know if as you know, that we send our view into letter to Jathedar ji, that Jathedar ji should join hands with other human rights organizations in India and other political parties in India and other political forces in India, and go to the government and say that they need to abolish capital punishment. I think the time is come now for India to take steps toward this and really, sort out their background, whatever background they have, sort it out for good, because they are now going into a next step forward in the world. Indian companies are buying companies worldwide. They have to now, the questions will be asked to these Indian companies when they come abroad by the people from outside, that what's happening in your country? Today you have bought, like Tata have bought Rover here. I mean, don't you think that when the Tata owner comes to UK, this question can be raised to him by his partners in this country? And how embarrassing would that be for big industrialists like him, that they are representing a country that still goes back in like previous centuries. They're still doing things that was done maybe 200 years ago, not now. So they need to really, do they act right? And this is the time. This is the cause Indian government has now got to basically, put it right.
In all of this, actually, the interesting thing is I've not heard anything from a Sikh Prime Minister yet, Manmohan Singh. I've not seen anything yet in the media from him, or it's total silence. I mean, we've had bits of noise from the Akali Dal, little bits from Congress, but on a local level. The media, the press in Punjab is covering it. The main Indian channels are not. And this is a big story in Punjab, but somehow the main Indian news media channels are not covering it. But utter silence from a Sikh Prime Minister. Is it a case that when a Sikh gets into a position of power, he feels that even if he does 1% to help a Sikh, he's betraying his office of power? And do we need to make sure that Sikhs learn that it's not wrong to help a Sikh if it's the right thing to do?
Yes, very interesting point, Gurpreet. And as a matter of fact, I was thinking about this this afternoon. And what I was thinking on this basis is that we mustn't forget that Dr. Manmohan Singh is first a Congress president, and then he's Sikh. And obviously in opposition to the Akali Dal in Punjab, and maybe a contributory towards the Congress party was the party when all these things happened. So as a Congress leader, obviously he can't interfere or can't make a statement. What statement will he make? But the thought that came to my mind was that why not Akal Takht Sahib Ji Jathedar summon him to be presented at Akal Takht, but not as a Prime Minister of India, as a Sikh, as Dr. Manmohan Singh, and ask him that question as a Sikh. And try to touch his soul. Yes. Say, Dr. Saab, tell me, you are sitting in Akal Takht, the most holiest and most pavitra place in the world. Tell me what you think, and do you think what's happening is right, and nothing else? And I'm sure he has to abide by the rule of, by the hukum of Akal Takht Sahib Ji, then he will have to come to Akal Takht Sahib. And Akal Takht Sahib Ji Jathedar has got that right to summon him as well.
That would be a very interesting thing. Maybe that's the next question we need to be asking of the Akal Takht. Yes. Let's summon the Prime Minister. Yeah. Akal Takht has that right. Jaswinder Singh, would you like to add to that about Manmohan Singh?
I personally believe that he should make comments. I feel that he needs to, because we're looking for him to make comments on a situation like this where we all feel aggrieved.
Satnam Singh, Manmohan Singh ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ?
ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ 1984 ਦੇ ਦੰਗਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਬਰਬਾਦ ਹੋ ਗਏ, ਉਹਦੀਆਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਇਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਪੁਰਾਣੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਣੀਆਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਜ਼ਖਮਾਂ ਤੇ ਲੂਣ ਪਾਉਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਛ ਕਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ ਜਾਂ ਕੁਛ ਕੋਈ ਉਮੀਦ ਕਰ ਨਹੀਂ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕਹਿ ਤਾ ਸੀ ਸਿਰਫ ਆਪਣੀ ਕੁਰਸੀ ਬਚਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਕਰਕੇ। ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੰਦਾ ਪਾਵਰ 'ਚ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਕਈਆਂ ਪਾਸਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਘੇਰਿਆ, ਹੁਣ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਕੁਰਸੀ ਬਚਾਉਣ ਜਾਂ ਸਿੱਖਜ਼ਮ ਆਪਣੇ ਦੇਣ। ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਤਖ਼ਤ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਜਥੇਦਾਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਮਨ ਭੇਜਣਗੇ, ਜੇ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਬਿਲੀਵ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ, ਤਾਂ ਫੇਰ ਹੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਹਾਜ਼ਰੀ ਦੇਣਗੇ। ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਬਿਲੀਵ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੰਨਣਗੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਤਖ਼ਤ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਜਥੇਦਾਰ ਤੋਂ ਹੁਕਮ ਆਇਆ। ਜੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਤਖ਼ਤ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਜਥੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜੇ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਨਾਲ ਦੇਖਣਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਫੇਰ ਹੀ ਆਉਣਗੇ ਨਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹ।
Well, I suppose we as Central Gurdwara can ask Akal Takht Jathedar to summon him, that we feel he ought to be summoned. And we are the first Gurdwara in London, in the UK, in the West. We will put a letter to that effect to the Jathedar of the Akal Takht and solicit a response from him on that. I think that's a very important thing that's happened here, live on the Sikh channel. This has come out, so let's do it. Let the Sangat unite and, let's get things moving in India and also here in the UK. But in terms of what Satnam Singh ji just said, that Manmohan Singh says we ought to forget. In the widows' colony in Delhi, one lady saw her daughter raped, 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 raped 8 times in front of her eyes. I don't know the lady. How's she going to forget? I can't forget. Our Panth cannot forget. We're not going to forget this. Do we ask the Jews to forget the Exodus? No. Do we ask them to forget the Holocaust? No. Next they'll tell us to change the Ardas. Hanji tusi ਇਹ ਵੀ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਓ. ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਓ. We don't forget. We remember our history and it builds us into better people so that we can make sure what has happened to us doesn't happen to others. If we forget, then history will repeat itself. If we remember and act, then we have a chance of saving the future generation.
I think a very important point, absolutely, and I would take this opportunity that we are not anti-governments in India. We don't want to be anti-governments in India, and Sikhs' history, if you look at that, they have always fought for India, wholeheartedly. I think every house in Punjab has lost one child at least, if you go back throughout the olden days until today, for India. And I think that we need to ask them this question, but we need to ask these questions with them, properly. We need to ask them, not making big demonstrations. We need to go to the right place. That's why I said we need to be politically active in India to ask these questions from them.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸਾਡਾ 1 ਮਿੰਟ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਰਜਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸਣੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੂੰ
ਮੈਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਕ ਮੇਰੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਦੇਖੀਏ ਜਦੋਂ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਸ ਮਿਲੀ ਹੈ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਕੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਮਿਸਿਸ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਮਿਸਿਸ ਪੂਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਯੂਥ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਫਾਈਟ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਹੁਣ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਿ ਰੁਕ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੰਮ ਇਹ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਕਰੇਗੀ ਕਿ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਬੱਚੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਯੂਥ ਹੈਗੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੱਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਰਸਤਾ ਅਖਤਿਆਰ ਕਰਨ ਅਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਸੇ ਇਹੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਗੌਰਮੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਗੌਰਮੈਂਟ ਹੋਵੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕਾਂਗਰਸ ਦੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ BJP ਦੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੋਈ ਗੌਰਮੈਂਟ ਹੋਵੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਮਾਮਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਸੀਰੀਅਸਲੀ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਔਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਕ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਸ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਕੋਡ ਬਿੱਲ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਲਾਗੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੂਰੇ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲ ਰਹੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਸਭ ਕੁਛ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਅਤੇ ਜੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਗੌਰਮੈਂਟ ਸਾਰੀ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਚੰਗੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸੋਚ ਕੇ ਕਰੇ ਅਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਹੈ ਹੱਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ
I'd like to thank our guests today, Jaswinder Singh, Satnam Singh and Jaspal Singh and Rajinder Singh ji. I'd also like to thank the Sikh channel for giving us this opportunity to discuss live with the Sangat in Europe. And my message, my final word to Sangat ji is, keep on campaigning. Do not stop. Write to your MPs. If you haven't, write again. And keep on writing. It's the wheel that squeaks that gets the oil. If you're silent, nothing will happen. And don't think that this is a responsibility just of the gurdwaras and your institutions. It's everyone's responsibility. We're a qawm. We're united. We act together and the mass effect will deliver. But we've got to do it. It's something we've not done in the past, but we've got to do it. We campaign for others' freedoms. We're going to now campaign for our own freedom also. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ